Our ninth fallacy is the fallacy of the false cause. Basically, what's going on here is confusions. Let's think of it more generally just as confusions over causality. Sometimes you're getting the causal order wrong. Sometimes you're confusing a cause with something else. So it's a misuse of causality. It's a projection of causality, maybe when it's not there, or a projection of causality in the wrong order or some way. Let's look at a very simple example before we move to something more complicated and draw out a general philosophical theme for us to think about. The sun rises and the rooster crows. Yeah, you see that all the time. Well, maybe not in the city so much, but so the rooster raises the sun. The rooster causes the sun. That's a very powerful rooster. No, that's a clear error in attributing causality when it's not there, like causality in the rooster to the sun. No, it's really it's kind of an order problem, if you like. You could say that no, it's really the sun that rising causes the rooster to do its crowing. So be careful about this, because lots of times you'll have conjunctions and you'll attribute the cause in the wrong direction. But that raises another interesting point. Lots of times you have conjunctions or correlations, and you get not only causal order wrong, but there's no actual causal order between those conjunctions. In other words, it's a deeper cause. Let's look at a more complex example. So we went from a very rural example to this sort of modern example of texting. Whenever I text, I get an error message and my phone crashes. And so you might conclude something like, after you write, my phone crashes, therefore texting makes my phone crash. So you've got this, I get the error message and then bing, and then my phone is crashing. But this could be just a correlation. In other words, instead of saying texting causes the phone crash, so texting is the cause, let's say texting as the cause, and phone crash as the effect, what is probably going on more often than not is something like, really, you have an underlying cause, namely a memory shortage. And so the memory shortage or some problem with your memory in your phone, that's the underlying cause of the crashing and the texting error message. So these two, instead of thinking them as in a causal order, they're not actually in a causal order. They're in a causal matrix or some kind of pattern, but it's the memory shortage that's not even mentioned in here. That's the actual causal agent in a sense, and these are actually correlated effects. So it's easy to think of correlations between things as maybe you might have an order problem with correlations, right? And get wrongly infer one causes the other, or wrongly infer that there's any kind of causality. They're just correlated effects, right? So you might do something else to change this and you'll get rid of the crashing, but you'll still get the error message that's caused by the memory shortage. So think of it this way. There's correlations everywhere. If you look at statistics of a society, you can find all kinds of correlations, like if I can just make them up, but something like, if you look at maybe the brim of hats or something over history and the rates of government intervention or something like that, you notice that as the brim of hats get wider, there's increased government intervention. But so that would be a correlation. Right? So brims of hats and government intervention. But you wouldn't want to say something like, well, as people, wearing broader brimmed hats causes socialism or something like that. So you got to be careful because correlations are everywhere, right? You can find those kinds of things cropping up all the time. But then to just say, oh, well, it's got to be a causal relationship or there's some fundamental underlying cause. No, be careful. That's a false. That can be a false cause issue. Getting causal order wrong, or even postulating that there's a cause when all you've really got are something like this, maybe correlations, and the cause is something else that you haven't even looked at yet.